Hello and welcome to the Rotary Club of Foster City, known as far away as Foster City City Hall, as the club that. All right, I would like to invite Mike Hoffman for the pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic which stands one nation under God,
liberty and justice.
And I think I have Ollie Pat.
Can anybody hear?
No, can't hear.
Nope, can't hear.
Closer to the mic.
What?
Closer to the mic.
Hello, everybody. Good afternoon. Can everybody hear me now? Thank you. Thank you. Good afternoon. We have a student of the month. We just had one 2 weeks ago, but that was for April because we only had 2 meetings during April, so I wasn't able to get it to schedule. Is Carmen there and Adam? You're both there. I see Adam. I want to introduce the presenter today. He's the assistant principal at San Mateo High School, Adam Geld. He took over 8 years ago from a Rotarian. Maybe some of you remember Cynthia Rapedo when she left about 8 years ago to go to the principalship of South San Francisco High School. And Adam Geld, if you would tell us a little bit, first of all, about COVID at school, and maybe a little bit about, I remember you were here 2 or 3 years ago and telling us about the phones that you confiscate every morning when the kids get to school. What a mean man. And take it over, please.
Yeah, thanks, Rich. Like Rich said, I'm finishing up my 7th year here at San Mateo High School as assistant principal in student services. And I'm going to introduce Carmen Valencia Pena in just a second as our student of the month. Yeah, the last 2.5 years, 2 years. So before the pandemic started, we implemented a cell phone free environment here at San Mateo High School. And we did it for a number of reasons, but actually one of Carmen's teacher, Miss Gorgani, is one of the people that had this idea of what it would be like to have a cell phone free campus. And since then, in 2 to 3 years, we've been one of the highlights of this program, not only nationwide, but internationally as well. Teachers, administrators, parents are phoning the office to find out how we did this. And it's really to create an uninterrupted learning environment, not only in the classroom, but also during brunch and lunch, which you just heard the bell. Give them that uninterrupted 30 minutes of just time to decompress, connect with their peers, socialize, rather than being attached to a screen, because being attached to a screen comes with many things, and a lot of those things are negative. Negative feelings about self-image, self-worth, peer pressure, bullying, harassment, all those things that are happening. And what we've done is we've really limited those possibilities here on campus. And so with COVID, students were on screen even more during distance learning. So they were logging in 8 to 10, sometimes 12 hours a day. I'm not sure if someone else is accidentally unmuted. But coming back from the pandemic, we're still putting phones in pouches. And I think teachers are very, very ecstatic. When I surveyed the staff on whether or not they want to continue this, 96% of the staff said they strongly agree that we should continue being a cell phone free school. Following in our footsteps, Peninsula High School up the road, they're going to be cell phone free next year. And I think some of the San Mateo Foster City feeder middle schools are also going to be going cell phone free. And so we're going to continue to talk to stakeholders, parents, students, educators, administrators about the benefits of having uninterrupted kind of old school feeling back on campus. I myself am going to continue to collaborate. I think I've collaborated with upwards of 900 schools internationally to tell them how we do these things at San Mateo and how the systems work. And when I sit in meetings, and parents are very, very thankful that the students can have uninterrupted time during the school day and not worry about peer pressure or doing things that they shouldn't be online. So that's a little bit about that. And COVID, we had prom last week. You may have seen us on ABC 7 News. We did have some students come down with COVID afterwards. Thankfully, no serious symptoms. We plan on graduations a week from tomorrow. We're gonna pack the stadium. It's gonna be outside with each student having 6 guests. So we'll have about 2,500, 2,700 spectators. And we expect it to be as safe as possible given the latest outbreak. And I know our students, like Carmen, are excited to walk the stage with their peers. And that's something we missed 2 years ago. Last year we did it outside and it went well. And so given all the circumstances that are happening lately, we're still full on for a graduation ceremony a week from tomorrow here in the stadium field.
Thank you. Now for your introduction for Carmen, please.
Sure. I don't know if I'm a host. I'm gonna try to share. Oh, I can't share my screen. Okay, I'm gonna share a slide real quick. Let me know, Mr. Mosini, let me know if you can see. Can you see the slide with Carmen?
Absolutely.
All right. Carmen Valencia Pena. First of all, Rich, I know you started AVID here when you were an assistant principal, so we decided to pick an AVID student. AVID stands for Advancement Via Individual Determination. If you can remember, Rich.
Yeah, Adam, we're going to do a scholarship next year for the
Awesome.
for Nancy Gordon Memorial Scholarship on AVID. I gave a presentation on AVID last week. Thank you.
Amazing. And so the program is still full force. We have 8 sections of AVID. And Carmen is one of the students who really takes advantage of being in that program. It's a program for you, first generation prospective college students. And it's really a class to help with organization, advocating for yourself and things like that. And then also learning some leadership skills along the way. So I'm going to run through a bullet point list and then turn it over to Carmen, who's going to also be a speaker at our graduation. She's one of 3 student speakers. Like I said, first generation college student, taking a couple AP classes with a 3.7. She participated in cheerleading and softball. She, our very active student group, La Raza, she's a council member there, Peninsula Bridge program participant. She's worked part-time throughout high school. She's also taken care of one of her younger siblings. She's an English Learner Development Program ambassador, leader within the AVID program, and then she was awarded the Pursuit of Excellence Scholar. Recently accepted to Cal State University East Bay, San Bernardino, Bakersfield, Stanislaus, and then also UC Merced. So I would like to present Carmen Valencia Pena, our student of the month for San Mateo High School.
Okay, Carmen, would you like to say a few words, please? Go ahead.
Yeah, hi, my name is Carmen Valencia. Thank you so much for the introduction. I'm really excited to be graduating next week. As you heard, I am giving a speech, really nervous about that. I will be attending CSU East Bay and I will be pursuing a nursing major. So I'm really excited about what the future holds.
Congratulations for Student of the Month. You're an all-star and I hope you have a great time in college and successful career. I want to present you as Student of the Month, Carmen Valencia Pena, in appreciation of your efforts in school and community service and as an outstanding student, the Rotary Club of Foster City, May 2022. And we'll have actually, I'm going to stop for a second. I want to thank Adam Gelb tremendously. Why? Because He has he's helped me for 8 years with a student of the month. He's leaving in another couple of weeks. He's going to go to Menlo School, which is a kindergarten through 12th grade school in Menlo Atherton. And he will be the assistant director down there. Congratulations, and I'm going to miss you very, very much. Thank you. Now we'll have a photo op. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Rich, and thank you for all your work on that program the whole year.
Thank
Right,
you.
can Andrea and Stan hear us? Because okay, good. Okay, I just want to go back to our regularly scheduled program. We had to change the schedule a little bit just because of the school schedule to allow Carmen to go back to class. But I'd like to invite visiting Rotarians. I see a couple of visiting Rotarians here to introduce themselves, please. Rich, you have a microphone? Is there a microphone? The Zoomers need it though. The Zoomers need it.
Yeah, one older folks to other older folks. Good afternoon. I'm Rick Jim from the Rotary Club of Millbrae. I'm very pleased to be here. I am the next person to be introduced. I'm her chauffeur.
Here at Jen from the Rotary Club of Millbrae. Actually, Rick is District Stewardship Chair, and I'm District Paul Harris Fellow Chair and Paul Harris Society Board.
Welcome. Any other visiting Rotarians here? Visiting Rotarians? Then I'm going to go to guests of the club. We'll introduce Danny later. There's a guest at Phoebe's table. Anta, welcome. Any other guests besides the ones for presentations? Okay, great. Oh, actually, Gary, I didn't notice Violet there.
Yes, this is my wife Violet. She's my wonderful wife.
Welcome, Violet. Okay, I'm gonna just ask the Zoomers, please mute yourself and use the chat function if you have any issues. As usual, everyone in the room is instructed to turn on their cell phone ringers, because if your cell phone goes off, you are eligible to give a donation to the Foster City Rotary Foundation. And it's a participatory exercise. If anybody hears a phone ring, everybody stand up and point in that direction. Okay, some birthdays this week. Joyce Cave on May 15th. Tracy Avalar on May 19th. Is Tracy here? No. And Sean, Phoebe's husband, Phoebe Venkat's husband, on May 21st. So just a little reminder, Phoebe. And then some anniversaries. We have Paul and Debbie Williams on May 17th, 42 years. Congratulations, Paul and Debbie. And Dave and Jody DeSchmidt on May 19th, 11 years. So congratulations to Dave and Jody. We have a few Rotary anniversaries this year. Patricia Clara Maxwell on May 17th, 22 years. Where's Patricia? Congratulations, Patricia. And Bill Chow, May 20th for 24 years. I believe he started in Cupertino. That's his official Rotary anniversary date. Okay, I'm gonna invite Larry Kavanoki to just give a message to the club. And then Cindy next.
I thank everybody that's been asking about Donna. We had the hospice nurse out to see her yesterday, And a couple weeks ago, she quit walking. She hardly gets out of bed now. And the hospice nurse thinks that she'll be gone by Friday. And she's not taking visitors. She give her your prayers, but she's just asleep most of the time. And her 2 kids are at the house doing most of the caregiving, and I'm backing them up. So that's where we are. Thank you.
Larry, I'm so sad to hear that because Donna's been a really great member of our club and makes me remember her contributions to the Yurok project and organizing things for the Yurok families. Please keep her in your prayers. That's not why I'm actually up here, but I'm here because I've been walking around with a card for you all to sign. Sue Rokaw, who was our district governor when Mark Watson was our president, same year, she and her husband were on a bicycle trip. And something happened and her husband, Alan, went down a ravine and was killed. And so the card is just from our club, doing 2 different cards from our club to send our condolences. And the funeral's Friday. They moved actually to Mississippi about a year ago. And so they're there without us. And so keep Sue in your prayers as well.
Sobering news. I'm just going to transition just slowly into good news. Does anybody have any good news to share with us today? Mary Lou?
We went through a 2.5-month remodel where we stayed with a variety of friends. And we now are back in our own house, in our own bed.
When's the housewarming party, Mary Lou? When's the housewarming party?
We can't hear on Zoom.
Any other good news? The people on Zoom. She's went through an extensive remodeling project. So I asked her when the housewarming party is. She'll get out invitations soon. Any other good news? Mark Watson in the front here.
2 things. One, on Monday night, the city council appointed our own Phoebe Benedict to the planning commission. So congratulations to Phoebe. I was one of the ones who violated Curtis's cell phone policy. Somewhere I have $50 on me, so I was going to pay that up today.
Thank you, Mark. I have good news. I just came back from the Boston area where my son Felix graduated with a computer science degree from Worcester Polytechnic Institute. So he's now a full-fledged graduate and he's going to be working over the summer as a contractor, living with us for a while. So this is my good news, scholars. Any other good news to share? That goes to foundation, right? Different bucket. Any other good news? Okay. Just a reminder, we sent out invoices for membership fees. Everyone should have received an email. It says, thank you for your purchase, just assuming that you would want to re-up for membership. But that membership fee is due on June 15th. See Debbie Williams to make payment by June 15th, either by check, credit card, or cash. Linda Grant wanted me to ask, there's a Second Harvest Food Bank distribution this Friday, 8 to 10:30. She needs one more person for helping moving boxes. Is there somebody that can help on Friday morning that hasn't already signed up? Mary Lou will help out. And Linda, I'll be there too. Okay, Debbie, you want to talk about the debunking? And then we'll have Jamie come up to give a recap of the district conference after that. Debbie's going to speak from there.
I'm right here. I want to let you know that we do have a monkey underway. It's going to be a Hong Kong flower lounge in Millbrae, which is the second floor is the banquet room. It's going to cost $70. It's going to be business casual, and we have a wonderful menu. Curtis helped pick out some really good items for us. We have
The Zoomers can't hear you.
Can't hear me?
That's better. Yeah.
I need to know by June 17th if you're coming. So if you are, would you please let me know, send me an email. I tried to catch a lot of you as I came in, as you came in today. I think that's it. Is there anything I should pick up?
I think the club runner went out about the debunking.
Yes, we did. We went
Yeah.
out last night,
Yep.
so. Yeah. Yeah. How many Zoomers are coming?
Put a chat message if you're coming to the debunking.
Yeah.
So just so Debbie gets a count.
Right. All right, thank you.
Okay, Jamie.
Oh, I'm sorry, one other thing I wanted to let you know about Patricia Manning. She had a cardiac procedure done on Monday at Mills Hospital. She's doing great. She came home yesterday. She's in good spirits, and she misses everybody at Rotary, and she's anxious to get back to the meetings.
So this past Saturday, as most of you know, was the Rotary 5150 convention. It was held at the is that what it was? Convention? Yeah. Conference. And it was held at the Westin St. Francis in downtown San Francisco, and it was quite a party, I will say. Our club was well attended. With Mark Watson was there. Mary Bates was there. Linda and John Grant were there. Bob Kaplan was there. Myself and my wife. And I'm sorry if I missed anyone else, but Curtis was not there. Anyway, yeah, it was a very, very nice party. It was black tie, so a lot of tuxedos, a lot of fancy dresses, and the dinner was fantastic. The booze was plentiful. And they did they moved us over to the Academy of Arts, where we watched it was hosted by a comedian, Jim Pelly, I believe his name is. He was a Saturday Night Live writer. He was fairly funny, not overly funny, but I think he was Bob Kaplan would have been better, but oh yeah, that's right. There was a guy, I forget his name, but there was a guy from Supermarket Sweep who I never even knew what Supermarket Sweep was, but I know the guy's face. Anyway, he was there too, and it was just a really good program. So I would say that next year, I know it's a 2-day event in Monterey, so I would venture to say everyone will have a good time. It was the first one I've ever gone to, and I had a great time. I thought it was fantastic. Up here, you'll see all the clubs, best club awards, and all the areas of service awards that we got. So if you're a board member, you can come get yours. It was a great event, and our club was congratulated for all the best club awards that we received,
including the best. That's including the best club. So thank you to all of you and the board members for working on that. All right. Patricia Player Maxwell.
So we're talking about the event on the 24th of June, the Health and Aging Education Day. It is going to be a huge event, and all help will be really needed. We're holding it here at the Crown Plaza. we're having to start off rather early at 7, as our keynote speaker, who comes from Stanford Movement Disorder clinics, had to put her clinic hours back a bit so that she could actually be present for her talk. And we're starting her at 8:45. And I must tell you that the table sales are going really well now. I am not up to date on the last figures, but we are in excess of 37,000. We probably will have around 18,000 to give in to the club for the next year. And without Diana's help, this could not have happened, because suddenly my business is taking off like there's no tomorrow and I don't have enough hours in the day. So she's been doing all the running around, all the admin stuff, and I couldn't have done it without her. So please give her a round of applause. She has been amazing. I have tickets today. If any of you can sell tickets, I have 3 batches of 10. I also have single tickets if anyone's interested in buying. The ticket sales for those of us who are over 55 will be $10. Over those who are under 55, it'll be $25. And I have to tell you, the lunch will be exceptional. If you were paying for that lunch, you'd be paying a lot more. It is the same day as the debunking, so we could do with more help towards the latter part of the day. I've had a wonderful reception of people signing up, but we will need people at the end of the day. As you can imagine, people like Diana and myself are going to be there all day long, so we're going to be kind of boop by that time. And we would like to attend the debunking as well. So if anyone is free and can give us a couple of hours, we would be so very grateful. Now, Diana's going to come around with the sign up. So if any of you can do 3 to 5, we would be very grateful. Thank you so much for your time.
Patricia, I have a question. What about those of us that are right at 55? How much does it cost?
$25. And Jamie, I think you're good for it, okay? Thank you.
Good try, Jamie.
Go ahead, Mary Lou, quickly.
This event is really impressive. I mean, it is fabulous. The information you get, you could not get anywhere else. And I had a whole bunch of friends who just signed up from Mount Lachie, and they all raved about what they learned at that. They've gone to 3 of these. So
this is number 5, by the way.
Right, they've been to 3 of them. And so just because you don't want to hear about old people, because we don't get old, just scrap that idea and go listen to the medical information that's coming up. They are top-notch people that are talking.
Parkinson's isn't just about old people.
No, it isn't. No, it's not about old people. No, thank you, Mary Lou.
And just a reminder, we are a service club, as everybody voted last week. So we're not just a social club. So if we are a service club, we need help on some of these. This is a community service project. So it's a fundraiser and a community service for the community. Go ahead, Patricia.
I want to tell you that it's taken a year for us to put this together, folks. So it's a lot of hard work gone into this.
Okay, just a reminder, I was gonna have Cindy come up, but if you don't mind, I'll just go. There's Cindy mentioned on prior weeks that there's a Memorial Day flag planting in the cemetery in San Bruno, Golden Gate National Cemetery. I have already signed up for that, Cindy, and I'll be joining everybody for brunch, lunch, whatever that is afterwards. This is just to honor our fallen soldiers. And I know the Boy Scouts do this. Other organizations also help. And it's just quite a sight when all the flags are in place. So please sign up on the Rotary 5150 website if you are planning on going. Okay, I'm going to invite Shiraz to come up for a presentation. Maybe Danny too? Yeah.
We have with us over here today, Danny from Troop 47 Boy Scouts. Please come and say a few words.
Okay. Good afternoon, everybody. Adjust the mic a little bit. My name is Danny Gan. I'm the current Scoutmaster of Troop 47 in Foster City. Foster City has 2 Boy Scout troops, and now they have girls troops as well. So the Boy Scout, we call BSA, Boy Scout America. They changed the name because we have the girl troops now. So the troop size is growing and the program is growing. And after 2 years of the pandemic, so we are back to the normal troop size. So I just like to give a little short introduction of Troop 47. I'm the current Scoutmaster. Mark Watson was a Scoutmaster before, and she has 3 boys from our troop as well. So it's really a local community service group. And Boy Scout, it has a long history. Our troop has about like 55 years history in Foster City. So it's the oldest Boy Scout troop here. And see. So again, this year we're participating, anticipating about 70 boys in our troop. So the program's growing, and that's why we need to have more people to participate and contribute to this program. So the Boy Scouts, we do a lot of community services like food drives, for the food bank, and also do clean up communities, clean up, pick up trash. And those are the service hours we do for the community. And then we also do a lot of conservation projects for local parks as well. And one of the things we have is called the Eagle Project, which is required for the Eagle Scouts. They have to work with the in any parks or community group, and they have come up with a project to benefit the community. The recent project we do is actually the Rotary project. We did the
Rose Garden.
Yeah, the Rose Garden outside of Recreation Center. So we continue to do all those projects. If you identify some place that we can help, please let me know or let Mark Watson know, and we will send the scouts to do all the work. So they will kind of benefit both sides. So we need that kind of project to help the scouts as well. And the grant we get, and that will help to improve our program, because a lot of the troop equipments like the tents and ropes and all those first aid kits and all those will cost money, and it's hard to raise the annual fees for the scouts right now. So any help from the Rotary, and that will help the troop a lot. So thank you very much.
Thank you. So everybody knows Troop 47, and as he said, Mark and I have been in Troop 47 for several years. And here is a little check for our support from Rotary. This is, I think we supported them for many, many years, and we will continue to do so. And thank you for sending your scouts for the rose pruning, and we will call on you for sure for other projects. We need our younger boys to come and work with us. Yes. So here is the check also. And the other good thing is that he was telling me as we were sitting there, because Rotary, we support so many things in the community, and he is going to make sure that we are present on their website and also in their newsletter that Rotary is a supporter of Troop 47. So thank you.
Oh, oh.
So Diana asked that if there are any board members here that we gather for pictures with our club awards after the meeting. So I'll remind you at the end of the meeting. But now we have a special TRF presentation. So Mike.
It's a pleasure to introduce to the Rotary Club of Foster City, Carrie Chin. Carrie is a recipient of the District 5150 Rotarian of the Month Award in 2018. She's past president of the Rotary Club of Millbrae. Just a little trivia fact, she was born in Mississippi and she attended schools here. She's been a school principal, has taught special ed. She's done it all. And she is our district Every Rotarian Every Year coordinator, as well as the Paul Harris Society coordinator for District 5150. So I'd like to introduce Carrie Chen, who has a presentation to make. Carrie?
Thank you. Thank you very much. First, I'd like to say about being the E-Ray coordinator, Every Rotarian Every Year. My goal is to be the first district in the world to have 100% E-Ray. This year, we're only about 64%. So it's so near the end of the year but I'm really pushing that next year we will be the first district in the world. Thank you. Before presenting the Paul Harris Society recognition, I'd like to give you some background information about Paul Harris. Rotary started with the vision of one man, Paul Harris. In the beginning, he just wanted a place to have constructive conversations and especially to meet new friends and have fellowship. He wanted lifelong friends. That was very important to him. But the ultimate goal became promoting world peace through friendship. And now today, Rotary has been in the United Nations for 76 years because, number one, it has the highest ranking for a nonprofit organization in the world. It is the largest nonprofit organization in the world for education and humanitarian services. Now, when Paul Harris was a young boy, he had to go and live with his grandparents, he and his brother, because his family squandered all their money. And his best friend was his brother. But the only thing is his brother was killed and struck by an automobile. But at night, he really enjoyed sitting around the table, having good conversations with his grandparents. After that, when they went to sleep, he would slip out through the window to go and be with his friends. Now, he liked to play a lot of pranks. So when he was in school, he really got into a lot of trouble. And his grandparents decided, we'd better send him to military school. And even there, he almost got expelled. It wasn't totally his fault, but he almost got expelled. He did go to law school, and when he graduated, he decided that he wanted to travel around the world, especially America, but he didn't have any money. So he had to work all these different menial jobs in order to exist. But what he did learn, what it was like to be poor and how cruel people are to people who don't have money. So he learned the value of money, but he also learned most of all the value of a smile. He went to Chicago, he started his practice, and then he decided, wait a minute, there are other people like me who come to Chicago who are from the farms or small towns, and they really, really want friends and friendship. So he started Rotary in 1905 with two other men. And then in 1907, 3 years later, he became president. And he said, you know, I really want to expand Rotary to other cities in the country. But the members of the club said, and they had grown by that time, they said, well, you know, we can't really financially afford it. So they were kind of against it, but he stayed with it. And within 3 years, they had spread to other cities in the United States. And of course, San Francisco #2 was the second Rotary Club in the world. 2 years later, they expanded to Europe and became Rotary International. And England was the first country to have a Rotary Club. Fast forward 33 years later, 40 years from beginning, they were asked to be consultants for the United Nations. So in 1945, the United Nations was formed and Rotary had a seat. It was a non-voting seat, but it's a seat. Sadly, 2 years later, Paul Harris died at the age of 78 of a prolonged illness. And there was such an outpouring of contributions to Rotary because he was so well loved and so well known. And Rotary kept trying to think of a way to thank people who were contributing and to recognize them. And finally, 10 years later, in 1957, they formed the Paul Harris Fellow, which you're familiar with, and the Paul Harris Society. And we will be honoring someone for that today. The Paul Harris Fellow is when you give $1,000 and then you win to Rotary Foundation, and then you get a pen. And then for every $1,000, you get another pen, then you get to major donor and you get more pens. The Paul Harris Society is when a person gives $1,000 each year and they receive a chevron to wear with any Rotary pen. Paul Harris said that maybe dreams would not be so bad if we have good dreams that make good things happen. And Rotary did make good things happen. It happened by giving contributions for extraordinary projects and activities for here and around the world. And so the Rotary Foundation wanted to recognize those who gave annually $1,000 to the Rotary Foundation. And they do that by inducting that person into the Paul Harris Society. So Bob Kaplan, would you please come up? Thank you. This is the certificate and the chevron that you wear. And I just want to say that he contributes annually, but it helps individuals, families, and communities all around the world and here. And so thank you on their behalf. Thank you very much for your generosity. Yeah. Oh, Lord.
No tissue.
Over here for a picture.
One in the post office.
Congratulations, Bob. Okay, we're just gonna take a 1-minute break to set up for our speaker. And I'm gonna have Mark Watson introduce our speaker when we're all set up.
Yeah, I got it. It's got multiple. You only have one entry into the laptop, so this gives us a few more. Yeah.
Not thanking one other person. I want to thank Andrea Pond. She's not here today, and now that she's moved to Florida, but she is still very much involved with the health and aging, and she created the flyer, and we are very, very grateful for her work doing that. And all of the other things that she's also doing, which is monitoring the Eventbrite. So a big thank you to Andrea also, and all of my committee. They have been awesome.
Thank you, Patricia.
I just want to say really quickly, we're taking off. We have another meeting and I've seen Lewis's presentation many, many times. But I just want to tell you guys, they're going to talk about him, but I'm on the executive leadership team with him for the city of Foster City. We're peers. And he came not that long ago and he has immediately become a go-to person, a trusted peer, and just a phenomenal person. So be nice to him.
So Mr. Sun has an impressive record of accomplishment. Beyond his extensive experience managing wastewater systems, Lewis has also worked as a civil engineer 3 when he managed projects such as a regional surface transportation program, congestive mitigation and air quality improvement program, community development block grant, highway bridge program, and bridge prevention maintenance program. He's also worked in the private sector as a design engineer and construction superintendent. Lewis worked for the city of Bakersfield as a chief plant operator, and then for the city of Pacifica, deputy director of public works. He's also a part-time adjunct lead faculty for the water and wastewater technology program at Evergreen Valley College in San Jose. Lewis brings over 16 years of experience in his position as Foster City Public Works Director. He joins our city at a difficult time as we are in the middle of building a new levee and a wastewater treatment program. So good luck with that. What is more impressive about Lewis is the way that he works with his staff. I talked to Pacifica Mayor Mary Beer, who said he was great to work with and always a friendly person that you could talk to. Here in Foster City, he's already taken the time to nominate Laura Galley for the San Mateo County Convention and Visitors Bureau's Unsung Hero Service Award. Since this week is Public Works Week, I thought it would be great for him to come speak to us today. So now we're going to try something new. How many people have been to a baseball game? All right, you know how the athletes have walk-up music? So at Rotary meetings now, they're starting to do that too. So I thought since Lewis is here today, so now I'm proud to introduce Lewis' son, and I hopefully he'll be all right, better than all right. Okay.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you, everyone. I really appreciate the opportunity to come here. And also, if I may introduce one of my staff, Francine Magno. She's the senior civil engineer. And Francine is the project manager for the levee project. And we've been doing a lot of presentation since I started back in November last year. I just wanted to share with everyone that it's been a pleasure being part of the Foster City family and to be part of this amazing project. And on top of that, Foster City is also currently doing 2 other major projects, which is one is Mark mentioned is the wastewater treatment plant expansion, which we're partnering with San Mateo. And the last major project is recently been approved by City Council. It's the Recreation Center project, which Council has funded $55 million for us to build a brand new building. So with that, a lot of exciting opportunities. But today, let's talk about the levee project. Mark, if you want to go ahead and do the next slide. How's that? Sound better? Okay. So I wanted to introduce the project team. Obviously, Foster City is the project owner, but we also have a really robust a team. With our designer is Schaff and Wheeler. They're a regional designer, and with them, they have a bunch of sub-consultants that are contributing in different areas within this project. And our construction manager is Tanner Pacific. Again, Tanner Pacific is also a regional consultant. They are managing the construction right now. We're about a year into construction, and our contractor is Shimmick Construction, and they've been doing a really good job, a heck of a job. They've been dealing with a lot of different kinds of problem, and Francine will go more in depth about those. But they've been really creative within the construction schedule, trying to adjust and to make sure that we will complete this on time. And lastly, we have an outreach consultant, Trepepi Smith, and they are sort of our PR firm, which helps with communication and information about the project. We share that with the community. Next slide, please. So some project background. Next slide. This particular slide, I wanted just to highlight, if you take a look at this slide, you see the gray area. It shows you the actual areas that are protected by the levee, combined levee. So the red line just illustrate Foster City's portion of the levee, and the yellow line is the San Mateo levee. So with that combination of combined the both levee systems, you're looking at a lot of areas that are protected. We're looking roughly about 17,000 properties, between some city of San Mateo and Foster City that are protected by our levee system. And it will provide about 100 years and maybe more flood protection for the city. So right now we're anticipating obviously sea level rise, and we're looking at this type of the levee that we're building to protect at least up to 2050. And that's about over 99% certainty. And it will also offer up to 2100, and that's at about a 95% certainty. So with that, you're getting a lot of protection, and it's a long-term investment. Next slide, please. Project funding. I am pretty sure everybody here has gone through the Measure P process. I'm probably the only one wasn't here when you're going through the Measure P. And, we'll talk about the timeline in a little bit, but since City Council and the city have initiated the levee project, the way we wanted to fund is going through a general obligation bond. And this bond was approved by the city, by the resident of the city, and it was approved at over 81%, roughly, or over 80% of approval. And I find that extremely amazing. It just shows that, the resident here in Foster City understand and the seriousness and of sea level rise. And, everyone wants this levee to protect their property. And at the same time, it offers a way to lower the very expensive flood insurance. And though all of these are reasons enough to embark on this project, but I wanted to just show in this slide that the city's, the citizens of the city, they are extremely interested, and they recognize that. And that's not easy to do. And if you look at what's going on in terms of national, we're looking at all the cities around this, around the coast that have a sea line. They are starting to address this problem. They're recognizing it, but not a lot of action has taken. And Foster City is one of the first city here in the Bay Area that initiated a levee project. I believe City of San Jose have also started. They're doing a small portion in the very southern part of the city. But in terms of starting and getting the project started, getting it fully funded and go through and start in construction, we are the first. So this is something that I think the city can be extremely proud of. Next slide, please. This slide, I want to just show you a timeline from when we first started. So back in 2014, this is when FEMA first notified Foster City that the existing levee system, it did not pass accreditation. So that started a chain of event. And if you look at from 2014 to 2020, it's just merely about 6 years. It's amazing that we were able to start from recognizing the deficiency and getting the project started on paper, go through your design, your funding, your Measure P, and get it all the way to 2020 where you actually have a design and award it and starting construction. That is truly amazing. You know, you look at some of the other major CIP or infrastructure project that's around the country today, it takes decades, if not, you know, just go through a process like this. But Foster City did it. I think we can be really proud of that and be the first in addressing sea level rise and getting it into construction. So again, we're about a year into construction. We're on track, we're on schedule, and Francine will tell you more about it. So I just want to show this. This is a great slide, and it just shows how amazing it is going from identifying the problem to where we are now. So next slide. With that, the project design, I'm going to lead this into, and Francine will take over. Thank you.
Everyone hear me okay? Thank you, Louis. So, okay, so moving into project design, we can go to the next slide. So prior to any kind of work taking place on this project, we are required to get authorization from various permit agencies. So these are some of the agencies in particular that we have had to deal with. The type of permits that you go after are really based on the size of your project, the location of your project, the type of impacts. So for instance, San Francisco Bay, where is that? Might be blocked off, but the Bay Commission, you know, anytime we work within 100 feet of the shoreline, we're required to get authorization from them. So that really varies. Oh, we can go to the next slide. So as Louis mentioned, this project will provide 100-year flood protection meeting FEMA criteria. So this levee was designed using a model by the regional, this is a long one to say, regional hydrodynamic model. So our designer used that model, added about 2 feet of sea level rise, which the 2 feet of sea level rise represents the anticipated high risk sea level rise through 2050. So using that model and that additional 2 feet, they were able to create a model to replicate the baseline for design. And from there, they are also able to calculate wave run-up. So using all of that, that's what they use to determine the proposed levee height. So if you're looking at the graphic, this actually shows you both the existing and proposed levee heights. The colored lines represent the existing, and then the values with the pink values with the box around it, those are the proposed heights. You'll notice that there's just the levee height, it really varies across the project. So at the bottom over by segment 7, the existing elevation is about 13 feet, and we're raising it to 13.5. So this is one of the areas where we really don't have to raise the levee too much. It's really about 6 inches. And the reason for that is that this area, because of the O'Neill Slough, is protected by wind generated waves. Jumping across to the north side by the bridge area, segment 3 or 4, this area we're really raising about 6 or 7 feet. And that's because this area is exposed to winds as far as San Francisco and Alameda. Next slide, please. So we're raising the levee using three different techniques. the existing levee, or was existing, was an earthen levee. And ideally, we would use this, this method again, but the problem with using an earthen levee is as you raise up vertically, you have to also raise a substantial amount widthwise, which you can graphically see here. So the orange hatch is the existing levee, and the greenish blue hatch kind of shows you an outline of the proposed. So because we don't have that required width everywhere, we couldn't use an earthen levee everywhere. So as an alternative to the earthen levee, I think this might be covering it, but the bottom left corner, that's the concrete conventional flood wall. So this is typically used as an alternative to earthen levee. Now, the problem with this option, or not really a problem, but in order to construct this option, a temporary cofferdam or a sheet pile wall does need to be installed first in order to keep the area dry so as not to compromise the wall during construction. And then that wall is then pulled after they build the concrete flood wall. So during the design process, I think the question came up, rather than installing these sheet pile walls only to remove them, why not use the sheet piles themselves as the flood barrier element? Hence the third option, which is the hybrid sheet pile wall on the right side. So for most of our project, we actually use these steel sheet pile walls as the flood protection. And on top of that, there's a concrete cap. Next slide, please. So this graphically shows you where we're using using the different flood barrier elements. So as I mentioned, the hybrid sheet pile wall is what's used the most, as you can see by the red line. We started with earthen levee, which is the green. So where we could use earthen levee, we used earthen levee. From there, we maximized hybrid sheet pile wall. And then again, even where we couldn't use the hybrid sheet pile wall, we then used the concrete flood wall. Next slide, please. Okay, so you're hearing all these numbers about wall heights, but what will this really look like? So after they install all the flood elements and build up the ground build up the levee wall, from the trail, from the walkway of the future trail, that wall really ends up being about 2.5 feet to 3.5 feet tall. So as you can see in the renderings here, that kind of brown patch element is a sheet pile wall with this concrete cap, and you can kind of see the people for reference. So it's really about waist high for most people. Next slide, please. These are a couple of photos of the ongoing construction, just to show you what the sheet pile wall will look like. This is along Beach Park Boulevard. In this location, they've about raised the levee to what the finished grade will be. There will be an asphalt trail still on top of this, but as you're standing on top of the levee and looking out, this is what it'll look like. You still have the views of the bay and the bridge. Next slide, please. Outside of the flood wall elements, there are some other amenities. The trail width, for one, is an amenity I like to point out. The previous trail was about 9 or 10 feet wide, and the new trail will be about 12 feet wide, and this time with an 8-foot dedicated lane for bicyclists and a 4-foot dedicated lane for pedestrians. On top of that, there will be a decomposed gravel shoulder on either side, which is that orange hatch that you're seeing on either side of the pathway. There will be various access points. So from the land side up, which is what you're seeing in front, there'll be some various steps and ramps up to the levee. And even on the base side, you'll see on the back side, throughout the levee, there will be various viewpoints. And from those viewpoints, there'll be stairs and ramps down to the base side. Outside of that, there's also just architectural elements. This area in particular has a wave pattern in the pavement. So there's various graphic design going on at some of these intersections where they cross an actual street intersection. We actually label the street name on the levee. So as you're traveling along the levee, you'll know what street in the city you're passing. Next slide. And next slide again. So I just wanted to share a couple of renderings just to help visualize the final product. This one we already seen. So this is the sheet pile wall along Beach Park Boulevard with the concrete cap on top. Next slide, please. This is over by Port Royal Park. This is around that area where I mentioned we're really only raising the levee about 6 inches. So you'll see that the new trail really isn't that much higher than the existing park. The only difference is now there'll be a concrete flood wall or sheet pile wall on the water side. This is over by Shorebird Park. This is one of the areas where we are still doing an earthen levee. So it'll look very similar to what was there before, just a little bit higher. And this area is right under the San Mateo Bridge. So this is one of the areas where we actually have floodwall elements on both sides of the trail. On the landside area adjacent to the Caltrans property, we have a much larger wall, but on the bay side, it'll still end up being a 2.5 foot, 3.5 feet wall from the walking surface. Some construction updates. Construction in general, it's broken up into 3 phases. So the first phase is from the southern limits of the project up to that first black line that you're seeing, followed by phase 2, and then phase 3 is the area west of the San Mateo Bridge. So work is ongoing in all 3 phases. Different phases have different restrictions. Phase 1, for example, this is an area that's sensitive to bird nesting. So there's certain months out of the year that the contractor can't be in this area. They actually just received authorization early this month to return to a portion of that area, but there is a small segment that will be restricted until September 1st.
Francine, I'm sorry to interrupt.
Yeah.
We're running out of time, so maybe we can speed up.
Okay. Just a quick overview about the construction. As Luis mentioned, it started in October 2020. We anticipate about 3 years for this project. So I think hopefully the major improvements will be completed by January 2023, followed by landscaping and irrigation work. I just want to mention this is kind of an overview of the construction. The schedule is kind of constantly changing due to unforeseen circumstances and just different issues that need to be resequenced. Next slide, please. Okay. I just wanted to share some construction photos. This is the hybrid sheet pile wall. The bottom right picture is actually a photo of when they were driving the sheet piles in. Next slide. This is a photo of the block retaining wall. So on the land side of the trail, we do have these retaining walls that help hold up the land side of the raised levee. This is over by Bayside Towers in the north end. Next slide. And these are a couple of the bridges that are actually going in. So on the southern end by Baffin Street, we're installing a new pedestrian bridge that connects Foster City to Redwood Shores. On the north end over by Bayside Towers, this is actually them removing the existing bridge, and they will be installing a new bridge once the levee is raised. So I know that's a lot to digest. So if you are still interested and want to know more about the project, we do have a couple of ways to find more information. You can visit our levee website at fostercitylevee.org, or you can reach us via email or the hotline. If you have any questions at all, there's always somebody who can answer them, or who try to. Next slide.
Question.
Talked about, I guess, the primary construction was done by January, and landscape. When will the levee be available for the residents to do?
I've actually had that question today. It's still unclear. We've been working with the contractor to try to figure out if they're going to allow residents back onto the trail once the major improvements are done while they work on irrigation and landscaping, but that hasn't been nailed down quite yet. Any other questions?
Over there, Jamie? Yeah, I think you answered it in your work there, but the visual difference from the wall height is true. It's different areas, the wall's high, some areas it's short, right? So that's why it looks like, not that the ground is higher in one area.
Yeah. It's really based on FEMA criteria and where the water, what the water levels are. That's what dictates the wall height.
And also right now, when you drive by Beach Park Boulevard, you'll notice it seems like it's really high. It's because we haven't quite finished the project and we'll be backfilling, build a road. So that's why you look at the current sheet pile wall right now, it looks like it's like 16 feet tall, but at the end, you'll see in the rendering, it's only about, about 3.5 feet. So.
Other questions?
Sorry, our presentation took a little longer. We just like to talk about this project. So
We'd like to have you talk about the project. Any other questions for Luis? All right, well, let me present you.
Thank you.
Thank you for presenting to our club. We see it every day, but it's nice to hear what's going on from the project manager. I have a speaker's gift here for you. It is a picture of a project that we do every year, but it was postponed to COVID a couple of years in a row. But we take old playgrounds from the local area and we that are going to be replaced with new playgrounds. We refurbish them and reinstall them in the Yurok Indian Nation for those children that don't have playgrounds. And we do that in conjunction with our San Mateo High School Interact Club. So this is a thank you to you, Luis. And so thank you again for speaking for our club.
thank you very much. Thank you for everything.
Thank you. Okay. Just want to thank Ron Karp for greeting us. Ron, nice to see you. See, you get a warm welcome every time you show up. So look forward to seeing you next week and the week after. Sounds resign. Mike Hoffman, thank you for the pledge. And Ollie, thank you for standing in for Greg Cool on the thought of the day. And Phyllis Harrison, thank you for taking the minutes. Next week, we have Brian Lee, who will be talking about the violin. The violin. So until then, we are adjourned.